We're about to see what exactly happened on God Valley, and with Oda introducing so many more strong individuals in this low-key flashback led by Rocksteady Zebek, there is bound to be some insane matchups. Think of the God Valley War as Wano on steroids. Remember that rooftop? Yeah, we're gonna get something similar. The closest thing in the current story of repeating this will be, of course, the final war in the Holy Land or Lafta itself, but just know the island itself will have to disappear. Madam Shirley did predict Luffy would destroy Fishman Island, but let's not get sidetracked as I discuss who will be fighting on God Valley. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as we are close to 100k subscribers and every subscriber matters, guys. So the first matchup is super easy. Gold D Roger versus Rocksteady Zebek. The reason why this is so easy is because Sengoku said Rox was his greatest rival. We haven't seen Rox and Roger interact in this flashback. Obviously Oda's building it up. The first thing I also want to say too is that fact that Rox is giving me Blackbeard vibes. He's Blackbeard's father. Roger's giving me Ace vibes. He's Ace father. We know a Banero incident, it's going to be similar, but this time Roger will of course come out on top. Now of course Roger's going to have some help, but I do think that Roger and Rox need their 1v1. If anything, we've seen that recently in the Kuma flashback. We've seen Roger and Rox clashing some sense during God Valley, so Oda's definitely hyping this up. Two Willy D pirates going against each other, same way that of course Blackbeard and Luffy are going to go in the final war. So I'm thinking Roger vs Rox is a no-brainer. After Roger vs Rox, that's where it gets a little bit messy. The next thing is Monkey D Garp versus Rocksteady Zebek. Now Monkey D Garp versus Rocksteady Zebek is definitely going to be similar to the Ace Blackbeard situation, as more so Monkey D Luffy and Rocksteady teach Blackbeard. So we're getting Garp's grandson and of course Rox's son in the final war. So Garp versus Rox, there is some lore to it if I'm being honest here. Now of course when Kong said go to God Valley, Garp didn't go for Rox, he went for Roger, but the person that made him the hero of the Marines was Rox. So regardless of Garp's obsession over Roger, we all know that Garp and Rox is something that we truly have to see. So I definitely can't wait to see that. It's gonna be a great fight if I'm being honest, because Rox uses a hammer, cannon, sword style, while Garp is just straight fist. So it's me insane conquers hockey leaking out of these two. And it's good to see Garp getting some shine too, guys. I want to see Garp get some shine, not just Roger and Rox. I think Garp, of course, he was named out of the three. Those three are during the Rox era were of course, going crazy. So he's one of the 3 stars. Next I have is Roger versus Garp. First of all, you guys have to remember, during Kuma's flashback, we see the Roger pirates on the island, and then we see Garp and Bogard and the rest of the Marines on the island. Secondly, Garp only went to God Valley to clash with Roger. And we just seen recently, this is about 6 years before God Valley, Garp and Roger had their first interaction, or one of the many first interaction. I don't think exactly it's their first interaction, because of course when Roger found out it was Garp, he said, oh yeah, we're not running away, yo. He wants to smoke. But if it was, still, regardless, that's 6 years before God Valley. They're going at it with Conqueror's Haki coding. Like, they're insanely powerful right now. I honestly believe Garp and Roger are around Yonko level right now. Of course, during the Great Pirate Era, or like when Roger is about to be executed, I think that Garp and Roger were Pirate King level. But during Rox's era, they're definitely Yonko level characters. And their potential is what makes them so scary. So it's good to see that we're going to see probably these guys fight on God Valley. Now, a sleeper pick to me is Roger versus Kaido. The reason why this is a sleeper pick is because people look at Kaido as a horn-headed rookie, like Captain John said last chapter. He's just pretty much a hot-headed guy. And Roger is, of course, goated as the Pirate King. So who wants to see that fight? But the reason why I want to see that fight is because, first of all, Kaido went up against the future Pirate King, Monkey D, Luffy, and Wano. And that's what really made Luffy Yonko. And Luffy kind of jumped Kaido. It wasn't a straight 1v1. So it'll be cool to see Kaido against Roger. We know Kaido had really high words for Roger, saying Haki transcends all, and how he conquered the pirate seas by becoming Pirate King and finding the One Piece. Like, Kaido definitely respects Roger's power, even though he thinks Roger has some softness to him as well. I can't wait to see what happens on God Valley, because we know Big Mom was kind of like looking for Kaido. We know Kaido ate that devil fruit, so Kaido is going to be a different guy after God Valley. Like, after God Valley, Kaido truly goes into a strongest creature alive transition in a sense. So I can't wait to see Kaido versus Roger. There's so much lore to it, and we've seen how he's obsessed with it before, and Big Mom had to tell him to chill, so I'm hyped for it. Next on the list is Whitebeard versus Garling. The reason why this is so big is because Oda's been foreshadowing it since pre-time skip. Yes, when Shanks goes on Whitebeard's ship, Whitebeard says that scar aches when I see your face. He's obviously referencing Shanks' father. Shanks' twin brother looks exactly like him, and his father is Figureland Garling. Now, mind you, Figureland Garling right now is a Gorosei with insane immortality. And of course, during God Valley, he's gonna have some insane conquerors haki. He was the strongest Holy Knight during God Valley. We're going to see insane swordsmanship from him, and Whitebeard versus Garling is going to be a good matchup. Now, I do think that I do want Whitebeard to have the edge over Garling, but I still think it should be a really intense fight and should hype up Garling, because I think Garling should be an opponent in the Elbaf arc. I think it's all about the Holy Knights, but bringing that Gorosei, which I believe is the strongest Gorosei, and Garling to come show that he really is an upgrade over Saturn. So I definitely want to see Whitebeard versus Garling in the God Valley flashback. Now, if we're going to see Garling versus Whitebeard, there's another situation we have to see, and that's Garling versus Roger. I'm not really that hyped to see it, but we do know that Garling, when the Roger Pirates were entering the God Valley, the Holy Knights were like telling the Marines to stay back and we're going to take them on. This is before Garp entered. So definitely can't wait to see Garling versus Roger and then Garp take over after that. And I think I do want to see Roger kind of like show Garling like, yeah, you're a Holy Knight and everything, but I'm the future Pirate King. And it's going to be really happy to see Garling speak on Whitebeard, speak on Roger. So yeah, I think Garling should have some good matchups. And the fact that Garling's son ends up on the Roger pirate ship, seeing them fight, and then seeing Roger tell Shanks that your father is Garling and having him cry. And that's what made Shanks go all the way back to the Holy Land to see his family. And then, of course, go back to the Blue Sea. It all makes sense, guys. So yeah, Garling versus Roger is kind of a must. Now, the next thing we have to see probably is Whitebeard versus Rayleigh. And this is just basic math. Rox versus Roger is the captain of these insane crews. The right hand of Roger is Rayleigh. The right hand of Rox is Whitebeard. It makes sense. Whitebeard is the world's strongest man. Rayleigh is the Dark King, a legend. Rayleigh cried when he saw Whitebeard die in Marineford. I'm not saying that Rayleigh versus Whitebeard is to say that like Rayleigh is on Whitebeard's level, but I think at this time when they're young, it would be cool to see Whitebeard versus Rayleigh. It's kind of like, to me, Whitebeard versus Rayleigh is like seeing current day Zoro versus Law, and it's a big argument in the One Piece fan base. People think Law's stronger because he went up against Big Mom and Blackbeard, and he's getting way stronger with his haki, and he has Awakened Delphoot. Other think Zoro's stronger because he has Conqueror's Haki coding and insane swordsmanship. All I'm saying is we're gonna get similar vibes to Whitebeard and Rayleigh if they do clash in God Valley, because the conversation's gonna be like, yo, Whitebeard of course fought Roger for 3 days. How can he be? How can Rayleigh even be on his level? So it's gonna be a lot of argument back and forth. But if Rayleigh fights Whitebeard on God Valley, we can't disrespect Rayleigh anymore. We can't disrespect Zoro's future anymore. Zoro's about to be a we already know he's gonna be a monster, but if his parallel was fighting a prime Whitebeard or like a Whitebeard in his youth, that is still insane. Next for Rayleigh is Bogard. I know people are laughing with the memes about Bogard, but if there's any time where Oda's gonna hype up Bogard, it has to be now, because we haven't seen any hype in the current story, and he has enough time. We've had a lot of Marine interaction. The fact that Bogard hasn't shown any hype is interesting. And what if Bogard is a secretive monster and he hasn't climbed up the ranks because he has such a fondness for Garp that he's choosing to stay with Garp in his rank? Who knows? But I can't lie to you, we did see in that cover story his insane swordsmanship, and who else is a swordsman? Rayleigh. So to see Garp's right hand man versus Roger's right hand man would be fun, I'll be honest with you. And it does make sense, because I'm gonna keep it real, guys. A lot of times when I see these insane pirate crews and then I see the Marines, they're not really rocking the manpower to go up against an entire crew. Like, yes, you'll see Kizaru pull up to Egghead Island with a bunch of Vice Admiral. That's not the norm. Usually it's Kizaru pulling up with a bunch of Fodder Marine. And if Kizaru pulled up in the Straw Pirates with a bunch of Fodder Marine currently, it's not just Luffy on your ass, bro. It's Zoro, Sanji, Jinbe, like, it can go on. Like, yo, you're gonna need some insane Vice Admiral power. Like, we saw Zoro bring like 1 Vice Admiral, 2 Vice Admirals, but they weren't insane much in power. So yeah, if I'm being honest, guys, Rayleigh vs Bogard will help the Marines get some aura back. Next is Shiki versus Rayleigh. The reason why Shiki versus Rayleigh could actually happen is because you have to understand this. Shiki has 2 swords. Yes, if anything, when it comes to the strongest rock swordsman after rocks, it's most likely Shiki, guys. He's a 2-sword user, and he has an insane Delphoot. Now, me personally, Shiki's the 3rd rocks pirate, and Rayleigh's the 2nd. So Rayleigh should be stronger than Shiki. But then you forget, don't remember, Shiki's actually a part of the Ed War, was a rival to Roger. The Rocks Pirates are a unique crew, and so the 3rd guy might have to fight Roger's 2nd guy. So yeah, Shiki versus Rayleigh could be a thing. But what most likely is gonna happen is Shiki versus Scopper Gabon, because Shiki's the 3rd guy on the Rocks Pirate, and Scopper Gabon's the 3rd guy on the Roger Pirates. And we know a year before they clash, so Scopper Gabon has Conqueror's Haki coding and Elbaf. He has insane axe work, and he has insane lore, so I'm not surprised if he's able to go up against a Shiki with an OP flying Delphoot and 2 swords. 2 axes versus 2 swords would be a really cool matchup, so I don't mind the fight, if I'm being honest. Even though Shiki should be stronger than Scopper Gabon, if I'm being honest, Gabon and Rayleigh are not your regular wings of a crew. Like, they're the Pirate King's wings for a reason. They could be captains of their own crew if they wanted to. Next is Shiki versus Silver Axe. And I know guys are going to be in the comment section telling me, Mac, yo, how are you going to put Silver Axe? I know he was hype in the recent chapter, Kyo the Hitman, before he became Silver Axe. Kyo the Wicked, just like Shiki the Wicked, Shiki's rival. But how are you going to put him fighting Shiki? Shiki has Ed War. Shiki has fighting Garp and Sengoku at Marineford and destroying half of it. Sengoku literally told Garp, relax, Shiki's my business. So that's an admiral, later turned fleet admiral, that's hyping up Shiki. So how can me, who Shiki escaped and pulled down even too, how can I put Silver Axe on that level? Well, the narrator said he was Shiki's rival. So a good plot point would be in God Valley, Shiki gets betrayed by Silver Axe. They go at it, infighting. We know the Rocks were known for infighting, so Oda just randomly mentioning Silver Axe as his rival, it makes sense for them to clash in God Valley and definitely hurt the Rocks' number. If Silver Axe and Shiki are fighting each other, that's I think honestly that's two of their top 6 strongest crew members going at each other. That minuses them out. So Rocks lose his two of his 6 strongest guys. I think Shiki's the 3rd strongest in the Rocks crew. And I think Silver Axe is around like 5th. If the top 6 of the Rocks crew to me is Rocks, Whitebeard, Shiki, Big Mom, and then I'll probably, as Big Mom, I might even give Silver Axe number 5 actually. Silver Axe might be 5. In that, of course, Captain John and Wang Xi are in that list too as well. But yeah, if anything, that makes it worse. Your top 5 guy, 2 of your top 5 guys are going at each other, and you lose them in the battle with Roger and Garp. Yeah, that's gonna hurt. Now, if Silver Axe does cooperate, we know we just seen him 6 years before God Valley go to Pirate Island to join Rocks, which has already an insane lineup of a crew. And if he does cooperate with Rocks, which is highly unlikely, but if he does, he even looks like X-Drake vibes when it comes to being a guy who would betray his crew. He has the 2 X's on his sunglasses. But if he does, of course, follow Rocks, Scarpagabon is his opponent, guys. Scarpagabon is the strongest Axeman. I know the memes back in the days were pretty funny, but he technically is the strongest Axeman. And this guy's name is Silver Axe. Like, Oda, we are not dumb, yo. It's right in the name that these two are going to fight. And it's definitely going to make Scarpagabon look good. Now, some people say, wow, the 5th strongest of Rocks fighting the 3rd strongest of Roger Pirates. Well, that's just how strong Rocks' crew was, guys. Think about this. The top 4 of Rocks' crew were all going at it with Roger. Yes. The top 4 of Rocks' crew all going out of Roger, guys. Think about that, guys. That's not a regular crew. They're an insane lineup. Big Mom would become a Yonko. Kaido would become a Yonko. Whitebeard would become a Yonko. Shiki, of course, is rival with Roger. Like, I'm telling you guys right now, the Rocks crew is not normal. So the 5th strongest might have to fight Scarpagabon. It's not an insult. Now, when it comes to Big Mom, if I'm being honest, she is the 4th strongest in the Rocks crew. And I don't really know who the 4th strongest on the Roger Pirates on. I don't even know if there's another guy other than Garp that's there. Like, honestly, Sengoku would have been a good pick, even if I wanted to say that. But of course, Gloriosa and Stussy teaming up against Big Mom to me would have been cool. I think a 2v1 where Big Mom is bodying them, like, and adding a Roger Pirate maybe. Like, maybe Big Mom bodies a couple of Roger Pirates as well. Like, they have to take some L's, and Big Mom is the perfect one to do it. We know she wasn't really that occupied when she was trying to take that Devil Fruit from Kuma. So yeah, if I'm giving respect, the respect is due. Big Mom looked to be one of the more smarter ones. She's known for her intelligence, and she got Kaido's Devil Fruit she gave to Kaido, and she was about to have Kuma's Devil Fruit until Ivankov helped out Kuma. So I'm telling you guys right now, guys, like, Big Mom looked to be pretty much low diffing any other character they're going at, because they didn't go up against some of the monsters on that island. Now, of course, the Fishman fan, and you guys know I love Fishman. Jinbei is one of my favorite characters in the series. So it's cool to see Babel versus Sunbel. We just learned about Babel's name, and Sunbel looks to be the strongest Fishman on the Roger Pirate. Babel looks to have more aura than Sunbel, so I do think that he'll have the edge against Sunbel, but it'll be a pretty good matchup. Honestly, Fishman going against Fishman is kind of like, I'm not gonna say racist, but like, come on, like, really, like, they probably gonna end up being friends, if I'm being completely honest. Babel and Sunbel, I really want Jinbei to mention these two guys though, like in the story, like, oh yeah, there's some legendary fishermen like Babel from the Rocks Pirates and Sunbel from the Roger Pirates. But the fact that Jinbei hasn't name dropped these two guys yet is insane, but it'll be cool to see some fisherman karate, some cool fisherman technique, an underwater battle between these guys on the outskirts of God Valley. That'll be hype. Next is Saturn versus Rocks. Like, we've seen Saturn try to go up against Imu. We've seen Saturn kill an admiral. We've seen Saturn and Roger and Garp. But it'll be cool to see Saturn just do the trifecta and go up against a Gorosei. Like, go up against a Gorosei. Like, Saturn versus not Saturn, I mean Rocks versus Garling, or Rocks versus Saturn, which I think would be cool to see because we know Saturn was on God Valley. Would definitely make Rocks' Konkusaki more skillful, if I'm being completely honest, and more of a chance of him going against Imu if he survived God Valley. But yeah, I definitely believe that Rocks versus Gorosei would be cool, and it would make Rocks look stronger if he was like pretty much bodying Saturn like Luffy was in Naked Island. Like, of course, immortality is a thing, but Rocks actually using Konkusaki to actually damage Saturn. Maybe that's the reason why Imu packed that guy out in Naked Island. It's like, yeah, I'm fed up now. Like, you failed in Naked Island, you failed in God Valley, and you've kept Emmet alive. Like, what the hell? And the last thing I want to talk about is in God Valley. 18 years before God Valley, Rocks killed an admiral. After he killed an admiral, he saw Imu in the flower room, the only man to do that, and said he'll be back. And he wasn't strong enough, of course, at the time. He Konkusaki coded clash with King Harold. And you're trying to tell me 18 years later, Rocks is not in his peak strength, looking for that legendary Devil Fruit, so he's ready. Once he gets that legendary Devil Fruit and calls on Harold to eat that other legendary Devil Fruit, you don't think Rocks wants to smoke with Imu again? If I'm being honest, guys, God Valley disappearing to me would have been cool to see if Imu and Rocks have one final clash, and that's why it's erased from history. Now, of course, this is me as a fan, like, just to make Rocks even look cooler. Honestly, Rocks versus Roger and Garp is already satisfying, but of course, I'm being greedy, guys. Imu versus Rocks Part 2 would definitely make me go crazy in this God Valley flashback. And I'm thinking I'm going to end that video off like that, guys. There's nothing more to say.